Greetings, my dear friends. Allow me to introduce myself, Libius Severus, the emperor who briefly wore the heavy crown of the Western Roman Empire during its twilight years. My story is one of unexpected ascension, political machinations, and a reign overshadowed by more powerful figures. But let's start at the beginning and embark on this journey together. Picture a small village nestled in the rolling hills of Lucania, a region in southern Italy. It was here, in AD 420, that I, Libius Severus, took my first breath. My family was of modest means, and our life was humble yet fulfilling. My father, a devout man, instilled in me a deep sense of piety and duty, virtues that would shape my character and, ultimately, my reign. From an early age, I was drawn to the beauty of nature and the serenity of our rural surroundings. My childhood was marked by simple pleasures playing in the fields, tending to the family livestock, and attending local festivals. My mother, a wise and kind woman, ensured I received a basic education, teaching me to read and write. Little did I know that these foundational skills would one day be crucial as I navigated the treacherous waters of imperial politics. Life in Lucania was not without its challenges. Our region, like much of the empire, faced the constant threat of barbarian invasions. The Huns, Vandals, and Goths seemed to loom ever closer, casting a shadow of fear over our daily lives. Despite these dangers, I remained hopeful and committed to my studies, knowing that knowledge and faith were our strongest defenses against the chaos beyond our borders. As I grew older, I felt an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. My parents, recognizing my potential, sent me to study in the nearby city of Venusia. There, I immersed myself in the works of the great philosophers and historians, dreaming of a brighter future for Rome. It was in Venusia that I first encountered the teachings of Christianity, which resonated deeply with me and strengthened my resolve to live a life of virtue. My early years in Lucania and Venusia shaped me into a man of faith, intellect, and resilience. Little did I know that these qualities would be put to the ultimate test when I was thrust into the political arena of the Western Roman Empire. But that, dear friends, is a story for another day. As we delve deeper into my journey, you will see how the seeds sown in my youth blossomed into the tumultuous reign of an emperor caught in the web of history's grand design. Stay tuned for part 2, where I will recount the extraordinary events that led to my unexpected ascension to the throne. Trust me, the path to power is rarely straightforward, and my story is no exception. It was the year 461, and the Western Roman Empire was in turmoil. The Emperor Majoran had been executed by Ricimer, the powerful barbarian patrician and master of soldiers. The throne lay vacant, and the empire was rife with instability. Amidst this chaos, Ricimer sought a new puppet to place on the throne, someone who could lend a semblance of legitimacy while he retained the true power. That puppet would be me, Libius Severus. Imagine the scene. Ravenna, the heart of the Western Empire, a city teetering on the edge of collapse. Ricimer, ever the shrewd manipulator, had orchestrated my rise to power. I was not his first choice, nor his second. Gaiseric, the Vandal king, had promoted his own candidate, Olybrius. But the machinations of the Vandals were not to dictate the fate of Rome. Ricimer needed someone more pliable, someone who would not challenge his authority. I, Libius Severus, a relatively obscure senator from Lucania, was the perfect candidate. On the 19th of November, 461, I was proclaimed emperor at Ravenna. The ceremony was grand, designed to mask the reality of my powerlessness. As I stood before the gathered senators and military leaders, the weight of the imperial diadem resting on my brow, I could not shake the feeling that I was merely a pawn in a game far beyond my control. The Gallic Chronicle of 511 would later record my ascension with a terse note. Severus, from Lucania, was raised to the rank of emperor and at the same time consul. But in truth, my consulate would not be recognized until the following year. The reality of my reign was clear from the beginning. Ricimer was the true power behind the throne, a fact underscored by the coins minted in my name. These coins bore a monogram that included the letters RMCE, a stark reminder that my authority was intertwined with that of Ricimer. I was but a figurehead, my reign a facade of stability in an empire crumbling from within. My initial days as emperor were a whirlwind of decrees and proclamations, most of them issued at Ricimer's behest. One of my few notable acts was the appointment of the influential senator Flavius Caecina Decius Basilius as Praetorian Prefect of Italy. This was a strategic move, aimed at shoring up support among the Italian aristocracy. Basilius, a man of considerable influence, had also served under Majoran and would prove to be a valuable ally during my brief reign. Yet, despite these efforts, my rule was marked by a profound sense of impotence. The Eastern Emperor Leo I refused to recognize my authority, viewing me as a usurper. This lack of recognition was a significant blow, for it undermined any hope of unity between the eastern and western halves of the empire. Eastern chroniclers, such as Marcellinus and Jordanus, derided my rule, painting me as an illegitimate pretender who had seized power without the sanction of the rightful emperor. The true extent of my powerlessness was driven home by the events in Gaul. Aegidius, the master of soldiers in Gaul and a staunch supporter of Majoran, refused to acknowledge my rule. His rebellion was a direct challenge to my authority, one that I was ill-equipped to handle. In a desperate bid to secure the support of the Visigoths against Aegidius, I ceded the city of Narbonne to them. This move, while temporarily effective, only served to highlight the fragmented and precarious nature of my reign. The year 462 saw continued unrest and instability. The Vandals, under King Gaiseric, renewed their raids on the Italian coast. Gaiseric, still harboring hopes of seeing Olybrius on the throne, used these raids as a means to pressure the empire. My attempts to negotiate with Gaiseric through envoys like Tatian were fruitless. The Vandals continued their pillaging, and my inability to defend the empire's borders further eroded my legitimacy. As the months turned into years, my reign became a litany of failures and compromises. I was a shadow emperor, a puppet whose strings were pulled by Ricimer. The problems that plagued the empire, political instability, economic decline, and external threats, were beyond my capacity to resolve. My ascension to the throne, far from heralding a new era of stability, had only served to underscore the empire's inexorable decline. And so, I invite you to join me in the next part of this tale, where we delve deeper into the challenges and crises that defined my reign. The story of my rule is one of struggle and despair, but it is also a testament to the enduring spirit of Rome, even in its twilight years. The grandeur of the imperial throne could not mask the reality of my situation. Despite the titles and honors bestowed upon me, I knew that my power was an illusion. The true ruler of the Western Roman Empire was Ricimer, the master manipulator who had orchestrated my ascension. My reign, from the outset, was characterized by a series of crises that tested the limits of my authority and exposed the fragility of the empire. One of the most pressing issues was the ongoing threat from the Vandals. King Gaiseric, emboldened by my perceived weakness, continued his relentless raids on the Italian coastline. The once mighty Roman navy, reduced to a shadow of its former self, was powerless to stop him. In a bid to secure peace, I sent envoys to negotiate with Gaiseric, but the Vandal king was uninterested in diplomacy. He sought to exploit our vulnerability, demanding ever greater concessions in exchange for temporary truces. The internal situation was no better. The provinces of Gaul were in open rebellion under the leadership of Aegidius, who refused to acknowledge my rule. Aegidius, a loyal supporter of Majoran, saw me as a usurper and puppet of Ricimer. His defiance was a direct challenge to my legitimacy, and despite my efforts to placate him with promises and titles, he remained steadfast in his opposition. To bolster our defenses in Gaul, I was forced to make a fateful decision. I ceded control of Narbonne to the Visigoths, hoping to secure their support against Aegidius. This desperate gambit, while temporarily successful, only served to underscore the empire's declining influence and my reliance on barbarian allies. The political landscape within Italy was equally tumultuous. Ricimer's dominance over the imperial court was undisputed, and any semblance of independent authority I might have wielded was constantly undermined by his machinations. The Italian aristocracy, wary of Ricimer's ambitions, remained divided. Some sought to curry favor with the barbarian general, while others viewed him with suspicion and disdain. In this environment of intrigue and distrust, my role was largely ceremonial, a figurehead whose decrees carried little weight without Ricimer's approval. One of the few initiatives that bore my personal imprint was the attempt to restore the Senate's prestige. I believed that reviving the traditional institutions of Roman governance might lend some stability to my reign. To this end, I appointed Flavius Caecina Decius Basilius as Praetorian Prefect of Italy, a move aimed at garnering support from the senatorial class. Basilius, a man of considerable influence and experience, had served under both Majoran and Ricimer, and his appointment was seen as a conciliatory gesture towards the Italian aristocracy. However, despite these efforts, the Senate's influence had waned significantly, and its support proved insufficient to counterbalance Ricimer's dominance. The year 463 brought further challenges. The Suebi, under King Ramismund, launched raids into Roman territory from their base in northwestern Hispania. The remnants of the Roman military, stretched thin and demoralized, struggled to contain these incursions. In desperation, I sought to forge alliances with the remaining Romanized barbarian leaders, offering them land and titles in exchange for their military support. This policy of accommodation, while necessary, further diluted the authority of the central government and accelerated the fragmentation of the empire. As the months turned into years, the strain of ruling an empire in decline took its toll. My health began to deteriorate, and I became increasingly isolated within the confines of the imperial palace in Ravenna. The knowledge that I was a puppet, my every action dictated by Ricimer, weighed heavily on my conscience. The sense of impotence and frustration was compounded by the constant threats and intrigues that surrounded me. I found solace in the company of a few trusted advisors, but even their loyalty was often suspect in the cutthroat environment of the imperial court. The end of my reign came as abruptly as it had begun. In August 465, after nearly 4 years of nominal rule, I passed away under mysterious circumstances. Some whispered that I had been poisoned, a casualty of the endless power struggles that defined the empire's final years. Others believed that the stress and despair of my position had simply worn me down. Whatever the cause, my death marked the end of a tragic and tumultuous chapter in the history of the Western Roman Empire. Join me in the next part of this story as we explore the aftermath of my death and the legacy of my reign. The tale of Libius Severus is a cautionary one, a reminder of the perils of power without authority and the inexorable decline of an empire that once ruled the known world. The death of Libius Severus in August 465 left a vacuum at the heart of the Western Roman Empire. My passing, shrouded in mystery and suspicion, became another chapter in the tragic saga of Rome's decline. As the news spread, the already fragile stability of the empire further crumbled, setting the stage for new power struggles and uncertainties. Ricimer, the true power behind the throne, faced the immediate challenge of finding another suitable puppet to maintain his grip on power. The task was not an easy one. The aristocracy and military were increasingly wary of his machinations, and finding a candidate with both legitimacy and malleability proved difficult. In the months following my death, the empire was effectively without an emperor, further eroding the semblance of centralized authority. Meanwhile, the external threats that had plagued my reign continued unabated. The Vandals, under King Gaiseric, seized the opportunity to intensify their raids on the Italian coastline. With no strong leader to rally the defenses, the Roman response was disorganized and ineffective. The coastal towns and villages suffered greatly, their cries for help echoing through the halls of a palace now mired in confusion and power plays. The provinces, too, were in turmoil. In Gaul, Aegidius remained defiant, his control over the region solidifying in the absence of a cohesive imperial strategy. His rebellion against my rule had never been fully quelled, and now, with my death, he saw an opportunity to expand his influence. The Visigoths, who had been granted Narbonne, were emboldened by the empire's weakness and began to assert their independence more forcefully, disregarding any semblance of allegiance to Rome. The Suebi, under King Ramismund, continued their incursions into Hispania, further straining the empire's resources. The Romanized barbarian leaders I had tried to appease with land and titles were now more concerned with their own survival and power, their loyalty to the central authority increasingly tenuous. The fragmentation of the empire accelerated, with regional leaders carving out their own spheres of influence, often in open defiance of any centralized control. Within Italy, the political landscape was a battlefield. Ricimer, though a master of intrigue, found it increasingly difficult to maintain his position. His power was built on manipulation and fear, and without a legitimate emperor to act as his figurehead, his authority was challenged from all sides. The Senate, which I had tried to revive, remained largely ineffective, its members divided and preoccupied with their own interests. The appointment of a new emperor became a critical issue. Ricimer eventually settled on Anthemius, a Greek senator with connections to the Eastern Roman Empire, hoping that his selection would bring some semblance of stability and legitimacy. However, Anthemius proved to be more independent-minded than Ricimer had anticipated, leading to further conflicts and power struggles within the imperial court. As the Western Roman Empire continued its downward spiral, the legacy of my reign became a subject of debate and reflection. To some, I was a tragic figure, a puppet emperor caught in the maelstrom of an empire in decline. To others, my reign epitomized the failures of a once great civilization unable to adapt to the changing world around it. The decisions made during my time on the throne, driven by desperation and the machinations of those around me, only hastened the disintegration of imperial authority. Yet, amidst the chaos and decline, there were moments of resilience and hope. The Roman spirit, though battered and bruised, endured in the hearts of those who still believed in the ideals of the empire. The legacy of Libius Severus, however minor in the grand sweep of history, was a reminder of the complexities and challenges faced by those who sought to navigate the treacherous waters of late Roman politics. Join me in the final part of this story as we explore the lasting impact of my reign and the lessons it holds for the future. The tale of Libius Severus is not just a story of decline and fall, but also one of human resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. As the Western Roman Empire teetered on the brink of collapse, the reign of Libius Severus became a symbol of the era's tumult and transformation. My time as emperor was marked by intrigue, conflict, and a desperate struggle for stability. While my reign was brief and my power limited, the legacy of Libius Severus offers insights into the complexities of a world in flux and the enduring spirit of Rome. The political landscape I navigated was a labyrinth of ambition and betrayal. Ricimer, the kingmaker, exemplified the power dynamics of the late empire. His manipulation of the throne and his control over the military highlighted the challenges of maintaining imperial authority in a time of fragmentation. Despite his dominance, Ricimer's inability to establish lasting stability underscored the inherent weaknesses of the system he perpetuated. My death, shrouded in mystery, left the empire without a clear leader, further destabilizing an already fragile situation. The power vacuum I left behind was quickly filled by Anthemius, whose reign was marked by continued conflict with Ricimer and ongoing external threats. The short-lived peace and momentary stability of my reign were fleeting, as the empire continued its inexorable decline. The territories of the Western Roman Empire faced increasing pressures from external forces. The Vandals, Suebi, and Visigoths, emboldened by the empire's weakness, expanded their territories and influence. My attempts to negotiate and appease these groups were ultimately insufficient to stem the tide of fragmentation. The empire's inability to effectively integrate or repel these groups highlighted the limitations of Roman power in the face of evolving geopolitical realities. Despite these challenges, the resilience of the Roman spirit endured. The administrative and cultural legacy of Rome continued to influence the regions under its sway. Roman law, infrastructure, and traditions left an indelible mark on the emerging medieval European landscape. The Senate, although weakened, persisted as a symbol of Roman continuity and governance. In hindsight, my reign can be seen as a microcosm of the broader trends affecting the late Western Roman Empire. The struggle for power, the challenges of maintaining a vast and diverse territory, and the impact of external pressures were all hallmarks of the period. My attempts to navigate these challenges, though ultimately unsuccessful, reflected the broader efforts of Rome to adapt and survive. The story of Libius Severus is not just one of decline but also of resilience and adaptation. The lessons of my reign offer valuable insights into the nature of leadership and the complexities of governing in times of crisis. The challenges I faced, though unique to my era, resonate with the struggles of leaders throughout history and into the present day. As we reflect on the legacy of Libius Severus, we see a portrait of a man caught in the tides of history, striving to uphold the ideals of Rome amidst chaos and uncertainty. My reign, though brief, is a testament to the enduring spirit of an empire that, despite its decline, continued to shape the world long after its fall. In the end, the legacy of Libius Severus serves as a reminder of the fragility and resilience of human institutions. It is a story of ambition, struggle, and the relentless march of history. The lessons of my reign continue to echo through the ages, offering insights and inspiration for those who seek to understand the complexities of leadership and the enduring spirit of Rome. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life and legacy of Libius Severus. As we conclude this tale, let us remember the lessons of the past and carry forward the enduring spirit of resilience and hope. For those captivated by the story of Libius Severus, visiting key historical sites such as Rome, Milan, and Ravenna can provide a deeper connection to Myra. Exploring the remnants of Roman infrastructure and institutions offers a tangible link to the past. Ancient coin collecting also provides a unique window into my life and times. Coins from my reign, featuring my likeness and inscriptions, serve as historical artifacts that connect us to his legacy. Collectors can find these coins at auctions, numismatic societies, and specialized dealers, each coin telling a story of a moment in history. For example, this gold solidus of Libius Severus, Severus III, minted between 461 to 465 in Ravenna, features a laurel and rosette diademed, draped, and cuirassed bust of the emperor on the obverse. The reverse depicts me standing, holding a long cross and victory on a globe, with his right foot on a human-headed serpent. It is a very rare, lustrous, and sharp example of this important issue, slightly clipped but otherwise in virtually a struck condition. The narrative of Libius Severus enriches our understanding of the Western Roman Empire's final days. Through his story, we gain insights into the resilience, challenges, and complexities of leadership during a period of profound transformation. Join us in exploring the fascinating history of Rome and its enduring legacy, and don't forget to subscribe for more historical narratives that bring the past to life. Thank you for watching. Our channel, known as the Renaissance Spirit, is dedicated to the pursuits of a just, equitable, and humanitarian world. Video topics encompass areas including history, politics, religion, personal development, society, culture, social and environmental justice, and other topics of liberal arts and sciences including ancient Rome and the Roman Empire, which is a great comparison and contrast of the modern world. Topics perfect for the true modern polymath. The Renaissance ushered in a golden age in the pursuit of knowledge both lost to time and yet to be discovered. It gave birth to the Enlightenment and the Age of Reason. Embracing truth, knowledge, and an understanding and compassion for humanity and our shared history opens up the world to each of us, individually, and improves all of humanity, affording us the opportunity to be better stewards of the earth and to each other. The Renaissance Spirit. More than just a philosophy or style, but a style for living, learning, growing and thinking. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share. If you're looking to explore and experience what life has to offer, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other videos on my channel. Please peruse, and let me know in the comments what you get out of them and what other videos you'd like to see. But first, please take the quiz next to see if you're a Renaissance spirit. Live the Renaissance spirit. As we reflect on the legacy of Libius Severus, we see a portrait of a man caught in the tides of history, striving to uphold the ideals of Rome amidst chaos and uncertainty. My reign, though brief, is a testament to the enduring spirit of an empire that, despite its decline, continued to shape the world long after its fall. In the end, the legacy of Libius Severus serves as a reminder of the fragility and resilience of human institutions. It is a story of ambition, struggle, and the relentless march of history. The lessons of my reign continue to echo through the ages, offering insights and inspiration for those who seek to understand the complexities of leadership and the enduring spirit of Rome. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the life and legacy of Libius Severus. As we conclude this tale, let us remember the lessons of the past and carry forward the enduring spirit of resilience and hope.